As humans, we have a complicated relationship with cheating, especially when it comes to cheating on partners and other people. Ever since the dawn of time, people have cheated on each other. It's also why in most religious texts, like the Bible or the Torah, there's always the mention of adultery being a sin. Even I have stories about cheating. I think my first girlfriend actually cheated on me to some extent. Now, I'm not sure how far I'm going to push that definition because I'm not entirely sure, but there were definitely some things that I should have been way more concerned about at the time. As a matter of fact, let me tell you the story. My first girlfriend, we'll call her Mia, who I had actually met at a bowling alley where both of our high schools were competing for, I guess, the high school county tournament, whatever. And I know what you're thinking. In what world are you meeting a girl at a bowling team and dating her, and how did that even happen? Don't ask me. I have no idea. The world is weird sometimes. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, we met there. We were into each other, we flirted a bit, and we started dating. And it was pretty fun at the start. I mean, it was my first relationship, and it was interesting and new and exciting and all the things that a first relationship, especially in high school, is. But unfortunately, as you may understand, it's one of those high school relationships that didn't go too well. So much so that it actually ended within 2 months. That was the grand total of that relationship. And honestly, I'm glad it didn't go any further because there were a lot of problems with that whole situation. One of the main ones being that about like a month in, there was this very strange incident, and it goes something like this. One day, as we're at the bowling alley again, our teams are competing against each other or with each other or whatever you want to call it, and there are these two kids that show up at the bowling alley door. And they call the person who was close to the door, one of my teammates actually, and they say, "Hey, Nico, these two kids want to talk to you about something." And I'm like, what is it about? And I'm like, I don't know. It has to do with you and Mia. And I was like, okay, that's strange. So as I'm walking towards the doorway, I don't recognize either of these two kids. And I'm like getting more suspicious about the whole thing. And they're like, "Hey, are you Mia's boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on?" And I'm kind of fuzzy on the exact details here, but I think she like hugged someone a little too, I guess, sensually, or it was part of a truth or dare game, or she like maybe kissed someone. I'm not fully remembering this story. I just remember that whatever it was very suspicious for someone who's in a relationship. And I was like, okay, why are you telling me this? Why do you care? And they basically just said that, oh, we just wanted you to know because you're her boyfriend and that's how we feel about it. Like, we were hanging out with her and she did this. And I'm like, okay, fine, thanks, bye. And that's how that whole interaction went. And I was very apprehensive the entire time because, in general, she had told me that she didn't have that many friends in her school. In fact, a lot of people didn't like her. So I wasn't really just going to believe anything people said about her at the time, but I guess there must have been a reason for everyone saying what they were saying. Anyway, that's besides the point. I asked her about it, and she basically denied it and didn't really say anything. She's like, "I don't know what to say to you. I mean, it's not true, whatever." And I was like, okay, well, I guess that's that then. I believe you. I trust you. Very naive of me, of course, at the time. But in fairness, we'd only been dating a month. Like, if you're going to cheat within a month, that's kind of dumb. But who knows, right? So, anyway, didn't think too much about it until, again, another day when, once again, we were at the bowling alley. And I see that Mia is drawing something on this, pad. Think of a big drawing pad, and she had a pencil. And she was making something that looked pretty good. So I went over there to just, check on her and see what she's doing. And as I get to her, she quickly kind of gets startled and kind of hides what she's drawing. And I got really suspicious because what she was drawing was actually a portrait of a dude with the Snapchat dog filter on his face. And I'm like, okay, that's strange. Also, why are you hiding it? And she's like, I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, nothing, just drawing. Who's that? Oh, nobody. And I'm like, okay. And you might ask me, what the hell? Why didn't you ask her more? What's going on? And the reason was because I actually knew who she was drawing. Okay, she was actually drawing this kid who was, I guess, either with her or they were into each other before the guy moved to some different faraway state. And I just didn't really feel threatened by the whole thing. I was kind of confused as to why, but I didn't really question it too much. I'm not going to be toxic, whatever. I'm not going to question her too much about it because it doesn't really matter. But of course, as we all know, the reality is it did matter. It was a pretty strange thing to do, especially for someone who's, again, in a relationship with someone new. But I digress. I was young, naive, and clueless about women or what they do. So I just proceeded on and whatever. Eventually, the whole thing fizzled out for a reason I don't even remember. I think it was just, I don't know. I don't remember fully what happened. I just remember that one day it just wasn't going well, and then we broke up. Stupid first high school relationships, you know how that stuff goes. But looking back at this was definitely a form of cheating. It might not have been fully on physical cheating. Like, I don't think she didn't sleep with anyone. She might have kissed someone, but this is based on two people's testimony that I didn't know nor trusted. So there's a lot of just question marks all over the place. But if I were to conclude, I would say that she had, to some extent, cheated on me, if not physically, emotionally. Anyway, that's not the point here. The point is that this is a very common thing. A lot of people cheat very early on in their relationships, and I don't really understand why. There's a lot of people that are unfaithful to some extent or other to their partners very early on. And I'm talking about people that are young and in love or young and just in a relationship that doesn't have any strings other than the fact that, oh, you two are dating and you say you're dating and you like each other. Like, the moment somebody wants to pick up and leave, they can. And that's just my question there. If you're dating, right, you're not married, you don't have kids, and you're like thinking of cheating and you're getting pretty close to doing it, why not just break up with the person? Think about it. There's nothing you're going to lose. You're going to stop dating, sure. You're going to break up with this person that you spent time with, you like, or maybe even love. But at the same time, you're not going to hurt them by cheating on them. You're not going to cause trauma. You're not going to give them trust issues and all kinds of things. You're not going to feel guilty because you're not going to be with them, or regret or anything of the sort. Well, regret might come later for other reasons. But the point is, if you're going to cheat on someone, just break up with them. Especially when you're young and stupid and doing things like that. Just go have your fun. Don't get into full-on relationship with people. Just go out, hook up with whoever you want, do whatever you want, and have that be your experience there until you're ready to, I guess, get into something more serious. Just break up. Especially if the lifestyle you want entails you being with more than one partner, okay? Because biologically, it makes sense that you want to be with more people. It makes sense that you find other men or women attractive or whatever. Because the thing is, us humans weren't meant to be monogamous. Monogamy is a societal construct for the human race and species. Humans are mammals. And I think about like 90+% of mammals are non-monogamous. And if you want to get even more specific, humans are primates. Primates are not strictly monogamous either. The reason that we started being monogamous was because there were many benefits to being monogamous. And we figured that out because we started using our brains more. Number one, when monogamous, there's no question for who the baby daddy is. Number two, there are less deaths at the time because of not as many STDs floating around the colony or the tribe. It also makes it easier for raising children because when you have the dad stay past the first year or two when he's obsessed with the mother, then he doesn't go run off and do it all over again because raising a kid with two parents is statistically easier than raising it with one. Better protection, better source of food, better everything. There's many reasons why we, I guess, technically evolved that into our societal norms. However, our society has changed, and all the things that we were so afraid of back in those primal days have pretty much been phased out. Exhibit A, we have DNA tests so that we can figure out who baby daddy is for any kid we want. We have contraceptives so that people can do the nasty without having children. Exhibit C, we have contraceptives so that we can avoid STIs when people do the nasty. So all these fears that we had back in the days of hitting stones to make fire up until the, mid to late 20th century are gone. We can succumb to our primal desires without many of the consequences that come with said primal desires. However, no matter how strong the desire is for our primal instincts, we have the issue of monogamy now being ingrained in our society. The idea of relationships, love, marriage, and children and all those things are pretty much a universal thing now because of the fact that we had so many years uninterrupted where we needed to worry about them to that extent. So it makes sense. That's why most people go for relationships, because that's what they see in their society. That's what we see in our movies. That's what we see in the way we operate, marriage, love, parents, whatever. That's what we're told will bring us happiness and joy and fulfillment in our lives, which to an extent is true, right? These relationships that we create with people, exclusive ones especially, are very nice and have many benefits and create good environments for us to live in and live our lives. But that doesn't stop the urges that we have from our primal days. That doesn't stop our desires and wants and needs that we cannot suppress no matter how much we try. So what do? We try and do things sneakily. We try and cheat. We try to be in relationships, but actually yearn for more than just what that relationship can give you sexually or whatever. And you seek it elsewhere while trying to maintain this relationship that in many cases you don't really want. You're just doing it for the sake of saving face or status or whatever. The status of being in a relationship, the status of being a normal, upstanding citizen that is from a good household or whatever. And that societal pressure weighs down on everyone, okay? But that's all it is. It's a societal pressure. You're the only one that's responsible for how you're going to live your life and what you're going to do. You don't necessarily have to subscribe to the societal norm of doing things, at least not on this front. So, if you want to go the route of multiple sexual partners, you want to go the route of living freely and however, and you don't care about having kids, or you don't really care to be in a long-term relationship with someone and spend your life with them, then don't. You don't have to do that. But what you should do is be considerate of other people's emotions and how they feel and how they're going to react to you cheating on them if you kind of want to have both worlds, okay? Because that's the truth. You can't have both worlds. It doesn't work that way. There's certain rare occasions where people can make deals about open relationships and, you can, on every Tuesday, you can fuck one guy, but on every Wednesday, I can fuck one girl. It kind of, maybe those work. I don't really have that much experience. If you do have experience in that type of relationship, leave it in the comments below. Maybe other people can get inspired and try and seek those types of relationships. But even those relationships have certain boundaries, okay? Like I said, on a Tuesday you can do this, on a Wednesday you can do that, but the rest of the week, none of that. There's rules to those relationships. They're very strict rules for very strict reasons because people get very hurt if you step out of those boundaries that you set. And the same goes generally for cheating on a monogamous relationship, right? All this really is a certain boundary between two people. A sort of boundary that kind of just comes as a default setting. Don't cheat. Don't sleep with other people. A boundary that most of us have come to believe is somewhat reasonable. But in spite of everything I've just told you, in spite of everything that I've said that it makes sense and you shouldn't do it, I'm going to say for you to do it. Okay? I'm going to say for you to go ahead and do it. Go cheat on your partner and see what happens. See how you make them feel. See how you feel after the fact. See how you betrayed their trust, and they might cry and they might ask you why and what are they not enough and the trauma you caused them, trust issues you caused them, and probably even the end of the relationship. See if it's worth it for you to go act on your desire. See if it's worth the guilt that you're going to have after you do such a thing. See the potential regret you might feel after your partner won't take you back because they can never trust you again. Because that's the thing. A lot of life has its issues with desire and greed, and there's certain things that you can do in life that are not necessarily worth it. Robbing a bank might be cool in the moment, you might get a big chunk of change, but what happens when the government somehow puts some version of tracking on the money? Maybe there's a die pack on it, maybe there's something that is going to link you to it, and then you're on the run for the rest of your life. Maybe you're in a relationship, maybe you're married and you cheat on your wife and you have kids, and then your friends start to ostracize you because you stepped out of your marriage and your kid hates you and all that stuff. See how worth it really is to act upon your primal desire. Because I don't know about you, the way I see it, it's not worth it. It's just straight up not worth it. Do your due diligence to other people. Be respectful, be kind. Don't screw them over. Don't give them trauma and trust issues. Just be honest with them. It's arguably better to tell someone that you're into somebody else and you want to break up with them than have them catch you in the act of cheating on them. It is arguably better. Not that you should do that either, but you get the point. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with this whole conversation with primals and stuff and whatever. And basically, don't cheat on people, bro. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, good night and good luck, everybody.